what I'm loving about this rapid fire is that a lot of times people come on and they're not as theater people, even though they're performers and stuff. But I know we could
We know
rely
that
on
we're
you
in good hands
guys.
here. Yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to After Broadway, the podcast where we deep dive into anything and everything musical theater. I'm Tara.
I'm Stefania.
And in today's episode, we're lucky to talk to the founders of what both Intermission and Next Magazine calls a company to watch. After they began in 2022, they quickly established themselves with acclaimed productions of Ordinary Days and Merrily We Roll Along.
2025 was their best year yet, named one of Toronto Life's 25 Rising Stars and winning 3 Door Awards, including Outstanding Production for their production of the 25th Annual Putnam County Spelling Bee. They're in the middle of an all-Canadian season of Ride the Cyclone and the upcoming The Drowsy Chaperone.
Please welcome the team from Shifting Ground Collective, Joshua Kalimnik, Shannon Murtaugh, and Colette Richardson. How did I do?
You killed it.
That was it.
I've heard
Thanks,
so
guys.
many variations on Kalimnik. It's just always really gratifying to hear someone get it the first time.
Wow. Thank you so much.
job,
And thank you guys for joining us. We're so excited to chat with you about everything. But I guess we'll kind of just start like where we are at this period in time. You're in rehearsals for Drowsy Chaperone right now. How's everything going?
It's really marvelous. This is shaping up to be something really uniquely exciting. The Drowsy Chaperone hasn't really seen an official production in Toronto since the national tour came through in about 2007, 2008. And it's, of course, had this really rich Toronto history. It started at the Toronto Fringe Festival and then moved to Theatre Passe Muraille and to the Winter Garden and then to America. And we've got this really exciting sort of return to TPM, bringing it back home to where it all began, where it had its first real official post-Fringe production. And seeing this show come together, it's just feeling like a homecoming in so many ways, and it's feeling like this really rich Toronto revival of the Drowsy Chaperone, which is just a really exciting thing to say.
We're excited because we've never seen it because we haven't had the opportunity. So I'm really excited.
Yeah, and I'm biased, but I think it's pretty great. Like, honestly, this cast, this creative team, this design team, like everyone that we have working on this project is so kind, so wonderful, so deeply talented. Like, I consistently sit in rehearsals and I'm just blown away every single day, and like people make me laugh with new things every single day, and it's just been such a joy, and I'm so excited to share this with the Toronto community.
And what's like most exciting about it too is that there's this real commitment to doing this fresh production of the Drowsy Chaperone. So many productions will sort of like lift a lot of the same jokes from the original Broadway production from Casey Nichola's direction, so-and-so comes out of the fridge at that point and Adolfo's cane flies off into the wings, and we've really let ourselves sort of start from scratch, let us come up with our own sense of humor, come up with our own fresh material. It's going to be this like really interesting new production of the Drowsy Chaperone that it's the same show that everyone loves and wants to come and see, but with a whole bunch of fresh new ideas to sort of make the thing feel alive and present.
Nice.
It's got everything you could possibly think of, truly. Like every gag, like we have really insane things happening in this show. Yeah, it'll be a surprise. I'll leave it for a surprise, but it's something.
I'm excited.
Before we talk more about that and before we get into everything else, we always start our interviews the same way. So we're going to ask you each, what is your first memory of theater? Colette, we'll start with you.
Oh, gosh. It's really hard to pinpoint because I have a hard time remembering musical theater not being a part of my life. But I think the first thing that I can like really pinpoint is I used to watch the VHS tape of Mary Poppins. I was very into the Disney canon as a child. It was like Mary Poppins, Little Mermaid. And I remember my mom used to like put on the tape, and then during step-in time, we would start running around the living room and like getting up on the couches and like singing. And we had this whole like choreographed dance number that we would do. But But yeah, I just like ever since I was like very small, my parents tell stories about like me getting lost in Costco and they'd find me because I would get up on top of the flat packs and start singing Part of Your World, and like a little crowd would gather and they'd go, well, there's Colette. So yeah, it's kind of always just been a thing. And I never really had the like, aha, this is what I'm doing with my life moment, because it was always just kind of a given.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's so funny. I had a very similar like childhood upbringing where I would sit in the backyard and sing on a swing set, to the point that like my parents had voles that lived under their deck, that the voles came out. So I was really like real life Snow White in that situation.
I love that.
Any direction I could have seen that story going was not the direction of voles. I'm really happy that we went that path.
Josh,
I'll
what
also
about you?
say.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steph.
No, I'll also say, like, for me, the Mary Poppins VHS was a formative one for me growing up as well. Just watch, rewind. So I get you there.
Yeah.
Okay, Josh, what's your first memory of theater?
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Sort of, I've always sort of loved. I was a big enjoyer of art. I loved watching VHSs of anything vaguely sort of performy. I loved watching Barney. I loved watching the Wiggles. You know, as kids, I was always big on just like, you know, that I always felt this, I guess, weird connection to the art. And so my first real connections to theater, I guess, were sort of in the sort of the backdoor secret theater kind of ways, like the X Show on Ice, or the or like you know, Bear in the Big Blue House live, like, you know, those kinds of shows. And I would go to a ton of those. I'd see like the Wiggles live in concert, you know, these things that don't actually really present themselves as theater, but fundamentally are theater. And the first sort of like proper theater memory I guess I had was doing Grease as a child in second grade. And
it's a little young for Grease.
Yeah, well, you know, it was so funny. I was so frustrated at my parents at that age. I was like, I did the show. What do you mean I can't watch the movie? Why don't you let me see it? Yeah, I sort of, you know, it was one of those sort of let's put our kid into after school camp kind of situations. I was at a characters theater troupe in Vaughan, Ontario.
Oh my God, we know that very well.
I'm so sure. The lineage of that place runs so deep.
I'm in Vaughan right now. I'm in Vaughan currently.
And God bless the York region.
Well, Steph and I met through City of Vaughan day camps. Like, that's how we met each other. We worked at a theater camp. It was called Summer Theater Spectacular, so that's how we met. So we're you know what? Shout out to York region.
If you ever did anything at the Richmond Hill Center for the Performing Arts, I may have been there.
Probably.
Hey, listen. Berkeley Silverman, current Anne of Green Gables at the Charlottetown Festival, characters, alumni. You know, the tapestry runs deep. No, but yeah, I guess that was my first sort of theater experience, really, like being a part of that show. And from then I was going to whatever national tours I could drag my family to, seeing The Sound of Music and High School Musical live, just sort of roller coastered from there in a weird way.
Nice. And Shannon?
Yeah, for me, I started as a dancer. I started dancing when I was like 2, and when I was 2 years old, I was like, I'm gonna be a ballerina. Okay, calm down. But that was kind of my entry into the performing arts. And I loved dancing, and like I from a young age I was like, I think that's the career that I want to have. And then my parents took me to see Mamma Mia at Theater Aquarius when I was 8 years old, and I was in the front row, and I was looking up at that stage, and I was like, what is that? I would like to do that. That I had never seen people have so much fun. And like from like that moment, I looked at my mom and I was like, change of plans. I think I got to go into theater. I think I want to do the theater thing. But that's really my first memory. I know my parents took me to see a bunch of shows before that. My mom was really into musical theater in particular, so she got very excited at the prospect of me also enjoying this art form. And my dad now is a musical theater kid, but definitely was not one when I was a child. But yeah, Mamma Mia was definitely the gateway drug for me, and it's just pure joy. And I have a very vivid memory of feeling like I want to make I want to feel like this forever. And what I'm realizing now as an adult is like, I want to make people feel like how I felt at 8 years old forever. And that was my entry into all of this.
I mean, is there a musical that makes you feel better than Mamma Mia? It's
No,
hard to
it's
imagine.
perfect. Mamma Mia is joy. It is just pure joy, and I make everyone watch it all the time.
That's great.
Okay, so now you've, your first memories of theater and what made you fall in love with theater, but then you kind of met doing shows at York and U of T, but then how did that translate to starting a theater company together? And it's one thing to kind of have those conversations and have ideas. I think of myself as an idea person, but how does an idea become what you've now created here with Shifting Ground?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, big question. I mean, we had all met various ways coming onto one production of Merrily Roll Along that never ended up coming to fruition because of a plethora of 2021 related, 2022 related reasons that we don't need to get into. But I think it was very clear for us from the onset that we had the same values. Artistically speaking, in terms of like what kind of work we wanted to make, in terms of like the way that we wanted to see the industry change. And Shannon and I had already been self-producing stuff for quite some time at that point. So we had sort of done that before in various capacities. And so, we sort of were like, well, this production as we were imagining it isn't going to happen. So what can we put that energy towards? And, I think that one of the things that set us up differently from a lot of the other, at least speaking for myself, sort of self-producing entities that I had done, is we took like the first, 6 months? 6 months just to like try and figure out what this was. Like we didn't program anything. We like made lists of like 5-year goals. We sat at like warehouse on Queen and like talked about like who the competitors in the space are and what kind of art we want to make and what kind of audiences we need to connect to and what kind of strategy and like how many shows do we do a year and what does that look like? And I think that really taking the time to talk through all of that and really distill what the mission was and what the goal was and what the point of the company was ended up being really invaluable, because by the time we started producing, we knew what it was. And then it was really just a matter of, constantly trying to figure out how to make sure we were ready for the right place, right time moments. And, I think the confluence of us, being really intentional about it and working really hard and getting a little bit lucky when those right place, right time moments came up, and we've been lucky to have quite a few of them in the past couple of years, we were ready to take full advantage of them. And it kind of grew into something much bigger than any of us could have possibly imagined it would have been when we first started talking about it.
That's amazing. Like, as I said, I actually don't know if we were recording when I said this, but we are like such big fans of what you guys have done. And we'll get into Spelling Bee because like that show was everything to us last year. But it was kind of after seeing that we were like, oh, we need to see like everything that you guys put out there. So I think it was the Toronto Life article that said that, I don't know if it was a quote from you guys or part of the interview, but it said like one goal in mind is building the next generation of on stage and behind the scenes talent. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's, it was one of the things that, it was one of those first conversations we had when we decided that a theater company was something we wanted to go forward into. One of the first questions was, okay, but why? What are we going to do? What's the point of us being here? What do we have to offer that's not just any other company putting on shows? And within these conversations, we'd been commiserating about what it meant for us as soon-to-be graduates or recent graduates entering the field. When we were coming into the scene sort of in 2021, 2022, Toronto theater still is to a degree, but was a bit of a closed loop of hiring. It seemed like a lot of the same people were being hired for every single show. Every cast announcement for a musical that came out, you were going to see Haley Gillis, you were going to see Alexis Gordon, you were going to see Evan Bueling, all immaculate performers of their own respects. But you look at that and you go, how do you possibly break into that? How do you possibly sort of enter that circle? How do you become one of those people that keeps getting passed back and forth all over the place? And we talked about this need for an on-road, for a ramp that sort of like gets you into Toronto theater, that legitimizes you, puts you properly into the fray. And so we sort of realized, hey, if we're talking about this, how many peers do we know who are ready to begin a professional career, who are just out of school and are performing at the same level as any of the working artists taking up space in Toronto? How do we give them their big break? How do we let them enter the field and join up the space? And so from that point on, we like Shifting Ground became an emerging artist company. Our whole thing is sort of presenting the next wave of talent, the people who are going to become the George Chris's and the Vanessa Sears and the people who are cast and everything, because they're out there and they're just waiting for their first audience. And so Shifting Ground is kind of the home for Toronto audiences to come and say, and be able to say 10 years from now, I saw them when.
I love that because, you know, all those people you named were huge fans of, obviously, but I'm always so excited to become a fan of someone new or to see something and not know who someone is and then leave a show being like, I love them. What is happening on their Instagram? Where are they going next? What are their other shows that are going to be happening? And then following a different career. Talking about, you know, Shifting Ground, can you tell us about the name Shifting Ground? Like we have an idea where it's from, but what made you, choose that as your name?
Yeah, so Shifting Ground, when we first started, Colette kind of mentioned this earlier, but we had all met working on a production of Merrily, Roll Along, which that production never came to be. We kind of call that Merrily 1.0. And we eventually got to do the version that we had dreamt of on such a bigger scale than it would have been had we have done 1.0. So in a weird way, it all worked out the way it needed to. But that show truly means so much to us, and this idea of like, I don't know how familiar you folks are with the show, but it tells the story of these three friends from when they are 40 years old going backwards in time until they're 20 somethings. And you see them at kind of like a really hard moment in their lives when everything is kind of gone wrong for them, and you peel back the layers and you end up with these 20 somethings on a rooftop dreaming about the world that they want to create. And as the audience, you're sitting there going, well, that's not going to go well for them, but good luck. But I think the three of us really, really saw ourselves and how we were dreaming about this company and how we were dreaming about our own careers in specifically that moment where they find themselves on this rooftop singing a song called Our Time. And the first lyric of that song is, something is stirring, shifting ground, it's just begun. And so when we were talking about naming this company, I think Colette and I said to Josh, okay, go through Merrily and see if there's anything that really like is exciting. And Josh like took some time and he came back and he's like, okay, I have a list of like 20 things. And the first thing he said was Shifting Ground. And we were like, no, that's it. No, that's absolutely it. And it had to be because we saw like that was the dream. Like we were three kids in a trench coat stare on a rooftop going, please let us in. We're ready. We're so ready to do this. And so it mirrors that feeling that we have for all the artists that we work with of like, they are ready. They are so ready to do this. They don't need a million credits. They don't need that Mervish credit to prove that they're ready to do it. We just know that they are. They're ready to make waves. They're ready to become the new fan favorite. And so we really feel that it mirrors the kind of people that we want to hire and the people that we want to work with.
Not to be dramatic, but Steph and I did see the Broadway Merrily We Roll Along, and like it did change our lives, I will say.
Yeah.
Yes.
It has that effect, you see.
We went to go see the like pro shot capture in movie theaters together, the three of us, and everyone around us was like, you guys really like this musical. And stop it.
Yeah.
There's something magical. Anytime I listen to Merrily, especially like seeing that pro shot, just hearing the lyrics, something is stirring, shifting ground. I will never be able to not start breaking into tears at that point, because it always just comes back to this little, for us, of like, holy shit, we're doing it.
Oh my gosh, when we did Merrily, so Colette played Mary and Josh directed it and I choreographed it. So on closing night, Josh and I were sitting in the audience and we're watching our best friend do this number. And they started to say something is stirring, and the two of us clasped hands and like ugly cried. Like we couldn't stop crying.
And so did Duncan, to be fair.
Yeah,
Also
and
ugly crying.
yeah, all three of them were crying on stage, and Josh and I are sobbing, and my dad is sitting next to me. Like, oh my goodness, the two of you. It was wonderful.
I love that.
It's amazing.
Poor memory.
It's amazing. So this is not your only job, Shifting Ground Collective. This is a side hustle. We know like something about that. And you guys all wear many hats when you're working on Shifting Ground as well. Can you tell us about balancing kind of your regular life and your, secret identity, and then, all the different hats you wear on that as well?
Yeah, it's hard. It's really hard, and we're actively working towards a future where we don't have to do two full-time jobs at the same time. I think we just have to be so like gentle with each other and like aware of that. We often talk as we're like making plans. We're like, okay, what is everyone's capacity though right now? Like, is this a busy week at work? Who's got time and who doesn't have time? Like, how soon realistically can we do this? It's a lot of like planning much further in advance even than you would if you were just like running a company full-time, because we have to build in extra time to make sure that if something comes up that we're not now staying up until 2:00 in the morning, although there was an era we were doing that, and thankfully it's not anymore. Yeah, it's not easy. We're very lucky that we all have employers that are very supportive of what we're doing and willing to be flexible to whatever degree that they can. But it is sort of like a weird thing to wrap your head around, where you're like, I'm gonna take my PTO days to go work a different job so I can go do Tech Week for Shifting Ground.
Yeah, and then when it comes to the multitude of hats that we wear within Shifting Ground, first and foremost, the three of us are creatives in our own rights, and that's how how we all kind of found our way into producing, was through various different creative endeavors. And so, that's something that's always kind of in the back of all of our minds. And so when we're programming shows, we always program a show first and then talk about if there's a right fit for us in a creative capacity. Like, for example, when we programmed Drowsy, I think Colette was like, well, okay, so I actually do think that Josh has to direct this one, and perhaps Shannon is choreographing it. And there was a brief moment where Colette's like, and also maybe maybe Josh is man in chair, who knows? And we like
really just toss things at the wall at that point.
But it's what, yeah, like because we all have these other creative careers that we are simultaneously also pursuing. We don't necessarily program shows for us to be able to explore those creative things, but when the time is right, we talk about it, and we do try and keep each other honest of like I had mentioned when we were doing Ride the Cyclone that I was like, maybe I kind of want to toss my hat into the ring for this one. And Colette said, well, I think you're Jane Doe, actually. And I went, oh, that's interesting. That could be fun. But that's, but at the same time, if I had said, I want to toss my hat into the ring with this, and Colette goes, I don't know if you're in this one, then it's a conversation, and it's never an assumption, and it's always that we want to do what's best for the art first. And it's so exciting when sometimes that means that we also get to be creatively involved in things. But even when we're, when like on Spelling Bee, the three of us were only producing. And I used to say just producing, and I've switched the verbiage to only, because it's not just producing. There's so much creativity that goes into that as well. And that, I think, was something that was really exciting to explore, was like, when we're not necessarily like on the creative team or in the cast or designing or what may have you, what is our creative capacity as producers, and like how do we get to explore that facet as well. So we're always, even if we're not the creative team, we're always peppering in our creative spirits into the room.
It's the kind of thing that sort of comes up as early as the programming stage, but like very ultimately, Shifting Ground is a direct result of our artistic output in a way. Like it's all of the Shifting Ground shows are kind of the shows that we want to put out there in whatever way it is. If it's a matter of approaching a director with a vision for how we want this show to be, or this sort of like overlying thesis statement, we hold ourselves very accountable to the fact that like we want to put up the shows that we want to see, and we are also three sort of very critical theater goers and very sort of critical artists, and so we sort of don't take it easy on ourselves to turn something out that we can't stand behind ourselves. Whether or not we're like physically a part of the creative team, we are still, you know, very much like shaping the show that we want audiences in Toronto to see. And so far we've been really lucky that every show that Shifting Ground has put on so far has been a really fantastic reflection of the show that we were hoping to put out. And it's a very fulfilling thing to be able to produce a show and still feel this creative ownership over it.
Yeah, I mean, like, let's talk about that season. So this is, as you were saying, an all Canadian, or I don't know if we've said it, but it's an all Canadian season. Ride the Cyclone was at the end of last year, and then Drowsy Chaperone is coming, like, it's this March. How do you decide which shows to bring?
A lot of conversation. It took us,
and that's what I imagined.
It's funny because, you know, the first season we were like, we want to do something small. And so there was like a very short list of shows that fell into that idea of small. And on that short list was Ordinary Days and Spelling Bee and a few other things. And when we landed on Ordinary Days, we're like, okay, great. So we're going to do Ordinary Days now, and we'll do Spelling Bee after we do Merrily, because that's going to be the one that we do after Ordinary Days. So the first 3 seasons we kind of hashed out in like 2 hours. And then when we had to go to actually program a season 3 years later, it took us 6 months of talking about shows. Which then kind of has now set us up, like our last program conversation was much easier because we had talked through every possibility of things that we were excited about. But with this season, we knew that we wanted to move into a season where we were doing a 2-show model. That was something that was important to us because we felt that it was time for us to kind of take that next step in terms of growth. And then it's given the current political climate, we thought now would be a really great time to explore Canadian theater and like what that canon looks like. And you know, there's not a ton of hugely popular Canadian musicals, but there are quite a few amazing gems in there. And so Ride the Cyclone was supposed to be our small show, and then was supposed to be our big show. And then Ride the Cyclone, we hired Stephen Howe as a director. And
that was where we first went wrong.
First meeting,
we love Stephen. Stephen is wonderful, but Stephen
and then Stephen turned out something grander and huger than any of us imagined. It's just shame on us for thinking we could hire Stephen Howe to do a small show.
That's on us. It was so funny because we were in that first meeting with Stephen, and we're like, yeah, so this is like a 7-person show, and it's going to be smaller, and Drowsy is going to be like 13 people, and like that's a pretty big cast. That'll be great. And then in that first meeting, Stephen went, I hear you, and also, what if there were 6 Karnaks? And we were like, well, yeah, okay, you're Stephen Howe, and you have good ideas. Let's crunch some numbers and see how possible that is.
It was such a fascinating, because, you know, the idea of adding 5 people to a chamber show is a fascinating gut punch in the first place. And so, of course, we all started off with the sort of like, why? What do you mean? What are you talking about? And when he walked us through his vision of the show, this way of like electrifying the material, taking Ride the Cyclone, which has this sort of like inanimate 7th character that's sort of in a box there, and sort of bringing the show to life a little bit more, making it more active, making Karnak into a sort of maleficent force that possesses a body of other kids who may have been littered around before. Hearing him paint the image of that world for us, we all kind of sat there going like, damn, that's such a cool idea, I want to see it. And it really just always comes back to like, we just put on the shows we want to see. And hearing him talk about his vision of that show, we all landed on like, yeah, we want to see that show. Let's do it.
That's the version of Cyclone that we're interested in producing. Okay, okay, Steven, sounds good. We'll figure out how to make that work. And then Drowsy, it was supposed to be a cast of 13, and I think this might have been my fault. But I'll take responsibility.
It absolutely was your fault.
Yeah, and I have no regrets, and you'll see why in March.
We're so excited.
When we were casting the show, I was like, now, would it be crazy if we had a dance ensemble? I don't think it's crazy. And so the cast of 13 went to 17, and I'm thrilled about it. And 18 now,
18 now.
Actually. 18 now. Yeah. Well, here we are. God. I'm thrilled. As a choreographer, I'm having the best time. I'm having a great time with this.
And I'm realizing, like, as someone who's directed for Shifting Ground, Merrily had a cast of 15. Drowsy has 18. I don't think I'll ever work with a small cast again. I don't think I can. I've been spoiled.
We did Ordinary Days, and we said that's the only small musical.
Spelling Bee's pretty intimate.
Yeah, we really went from a 4-person show with 1 piano to a 15-person show with a 12-piece orchestra. Like, it's
go big. Go big.
Oh, golly.
We're the kind of people that are always like, that would be crazy, right? Yeah, what if we went down that path anyways and saw what happened?
But it's like, I think the thing that we've just all come around to is like, why do it if it's not exciting? Why do it if it doesn't just like scare the pants off of you and also make you go, that would be so damn cool? You know, it's a nice way to look at making art.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for like Ride the Cyclone, having that on kind of ensemble of 6, being able to step into dancing or being in the background of scenes or like making scenes bigger than they normally would be. You know, we've watched, some clips of, let's say, the previous productions, and just the difference of having to use like just like the other 4 or 5 kids as the ensemble to create a scene versus having these like 6 additional players to create a scene added so much texture, and I thought it worked really well.
I fully agree.
Yeah, Talia would not have been what it was if it didn't have a larger ensemble. We were obsessed with that.
That's what we went home singing.
Nice.
When we left.
I remember Steven had a meeting with us who was like, okay, I watched a video of the original production, and like, I don't want a stationary Karnak. I don't want a projector wall showing videos of things. I want to make it live and put it in the moment. I don't want to make Jane Doe fly in black light at the end. I want to tell an actual story with this song. I don't want to have just a slideshow of her stuff playback. I want to have a spoiler alert. You can't see it anymore.
You're so close, Josh.
I want to have a little baby Jane Doe come out at the end, and maybe it's Jane, maybe it's her daughter, maybe it's some other manifestation. I want to have her walk her back.
We were like, wow, a child actor. So exciting.
Shifting Ground loves a surprise child. It's the second time we've done it, and it will be back. I swear to God.
But not in Drowsy. There is not a surprise child in Drowsy.
Well,
whenever there's a surprise child, I'm like, what was their call time? When did they get here? That's what I'm thinking about.
That's genuinely an excellent question. That's such a good question.
We had 2 kids for baby Jane Doe, and they would come like basically like at the top of the show, and we would say to the both of the kids' mom or parents would be kind of backstage with them. And at a certain point, they both were like, no, we want to watch the show. So they would stand in a wing that was like, the way that the theater was set up, there was 2 bombs that kind of went into the lobby. And the kids would stand in the bombs. And by the end of the show, by the end of the run, I was watching them like do the choreography with us. Like they were so like we would say like, yeah, you can come at like 8, like, or whatever time the show started at, like, come for 8, get ready and, take your time to get there. And then it became that they were like, no, we want to get there when everyone else gets there. We want to do the warm-ups with them. We want to do the step-in and the check-ins with them. And they were the best, and they were the cutest kids. and they would stand there and like do the choreography with us, and it made me so happy every night.
But I think that's one of the things that's so special about what we get to do is like we get to go to Stephen Howe, who says, I want 6 more people in this show, and be like, hell yeah, let's do that. Let's do something entirely different and like experiment with it and see what happens. We get to like bring these kids in to have these like formative experiences. You know, I think one of the things that's so special about the shows we work on is it really feels like a playground for everybody. It's like a sandbox. Everyone's just kind of trying things out, and you know, there are some limitations of like physical resources, but I think there's something really exciting about being in a room full of people who are just so passionate and so excited to create something. And you know, to every degree that we are able, just be like, here's all of the resources so that we can make as many of our dreams come true collectively together as possible. And then, you know, getting to go on that ride with these incredible people. And like, now we're doing it like what, every like 6 months. And this is just the rest of our lives now. It's like, it's the coolest thing.
I think that's one of the things that best translates through shifting ground shows. A lot of people come to our shows and talk about this like vitality to a show we have, and the energy and this sort of like, you know, this spirit that sort of sits somewhere in that people sometimes have a hard time sort of putting a finger on. And it really comes down to the fact that like we're hiring people who are starving, people who are like really, really eager to make their debut, to jump in feet first into this industry. There's weight to these shows for them. There's a real significance. There's something about them where like they're putting it's a very big vulnerable thing. The big thing for me when we were doing Merrily We Roll Along, this lyric that really sung out to me was, it's our heads on the block, give us room and start the clock, you know. And so there's this, you come to see a shifting ground show and the artists who are part of it are so eager to present themselves, so eager to be there. That eagerness jumps through, and I think it gives our shows this energy, this sort of like grab you by the lapels excitement that I think makes the shows feel very special. Every time I watch a shifting ground show, I'm just sort of struck by the level of commitment and passion and energy and enthusiasm and love for the thing that they're doing behind it, and I think it just makes for a richer show.
Same.
Let's kind of go back to 2025 was kind of a banner year for the company. You know, Spelling Bee was at the top of so many categories for us in our year in review, and also other publications. I love how I group us with publications.
Yeah, I was like,
I'd say.
You know what? Us in Toronto Life. And but it ended up being, you know, one of our favorite shows we saw last year. We laughed, we cried, and it felt like we just seen all of this like young talent emerge. And like Tara was saying, you know, after that, we're like, everything Shifting Ground does, like, we'll be there. You won 3 Dora Awards, including like Outstanding Production, Audience Choice. You know, how did like can you just like give us a little insight into like putting that team together, that cast, but also that crew? And also, I guess, when did you know that like that was maybe the turning point's not the right word, but like maybe the kind of like, not even launch, but kind of what put you guys maybe on the map with Spelling Bee?
Yeah, I mean, we got so lucky with that team. Like, truly, everybody who walked in was perfect. We kept having people walk in and being like, well, that's it. Our creative team was phenomenal. We found Jenny and Nick through an open like call for creatives that we did. Wow. And we met them, and like in an initial interview, we were like, okay, so we're hiring them for Spelling Bee, right? And then, you know, we'd worked with Mike on Merrily. He played in the Pit. So it was just like a lot of like, again, like right place, right time. Like all of these phenomenal people came into a space, and we were just really lucky that they all wanted to work with us. And I think that there was something really exciting about bringing together a room with so many neurodivergent artists. That was like a really important thing for us when we were hiring, when we sort of conceived of the idea. I've told the story like 16,000 times over, but it was like after a Merrily rehearsal, and Shannon and I were like sitting in Grange Park talking about Spelling Bee, and Shannon was like, you know, like I'm really excited to do it, but like we have to figure out why Spelling Bee for Shifting Ground, like not to be cliche, but like why this show, why now, etc. And I just kind of like got up on my soapbox, and I was like, you know, it bugs me how much people make fun of the kids, and like they're like, oh, we're gonna like do this quirky comedy, and these kids are like so funny because they're like quirky and they're different. They're not quirky, they're not different, they're just neurodivergent. And Shannon was like, that's why we're doing the show. And so that became like a really huge guiding light for us as we were assembling this team of not only just like neurodivergent artists, but like people who understood that feeling of other, that feeling of outsider, that like I don't feel like anyone is like me. I feel like I'm alien. And then that recognition of coming into a space and being like, oh, there's so many people like me. There's so many people who think what I think and see the world the way that I see the world. And I'm not like this like freak of nature, weird human on my own little planet. Like there's a community here that can be found in the things that I love and the way that I see the world. And I think that, you know, getting all those people together who all felt so passionately about that was really magical.
I remember it, and I think it was like the first read through. I said to these guys afterwards, I'm like, oh, this one's gonna be really good. It's gonna be really special. And like all three of us had that same feeling of like they hadn't done anything yet. They just read the script, you know, like and like they hadn't even like really done any work on it yet. And it already just felt so electric and so exciting. And, you know, I don't think any of us realized what it was going to do after the fact. Like it felt really exciting and really special, but in the way that, you know, every show that we get to work on feels like Josh was saying, you know, we create art that we want to see and that we feel passionate about. And, you know, when the show closed, like that felt really gratifying, but we were like, great. And now we're on to the next one. And we had no idea what was about to come. And then, you know, we got those. And I remember talking to the choreographer like a few days before the Doras happened. And we're like, well, we're not gonna win, but it's gonna be so fun to go, and we're gonna have so much fun, and we're all gonna look so good, and we're gonna have a great time, and we'll party, and it'll be wonderful. And then the show or the Doras started, and the ensemble category came up, and we didn't win. And we were like, yep, and this is going the way that we thought it was going to go. Like this, it's so nice to be included. It's so cool to even hear them say Shifting Ground amongst the list of other people that were nominated, because it was an insane year. Like there were incredible, really, really incredible shows that we all really loved. And then the creative team category happened, and they announced Shifting Ground, and the three of us were sitting next to each other, and we all jumped up, screamed, looked at each other, burst into tears, and we were like, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. And then we kept winning, and we were like, what's happening? Even then we were like, we won. Okay, and now on to the next. And like we truly just had you couldn't have asked any of us to predict what was about to unfold after that.
There was one point where Josh looked over to Shannon and I, because we had written speeches not because we thought anything was going to happen, because we knew we would be too emotional in the off chance that it did to say anything coherent. There was one moment like right before audience choice where Josh went, so we're not gonna win, but in the off chance that we do we read the one speech we wrote in our pocket or not? Well, like, we're not going to win, but like, if we do, let's read the speech, because we're not going to get another chance to read the speech. And then we were like, we don't have enough speeches.
And then it was funny. We were sat there, there had been a little bit of like we'll write the speech as like an exercise, and like we were all like, this is gonna be sort of like a waste of an hour in a day to write this out, but okay, let's just do it. And I remember us coming back from sitting down, and we were just creeping closer and closer to outstanding production, and I was like, in the event that we have to go up on this stage again, let's the three of us figure out what each of us should say. and
oh my God, it was so
lo
funny.
and behold.
It was so funny because when the creative team category happened, Colette and I both looked at each other and went, okay, so there's a chance. We've now won one. There's a real chance. And I remember Josh looking at us being like, shut up, stop talking about it. and I was like, Josh, we can't jinx it. We've either won or we haven't. This
it's already been counted. The accountants are
it was so funny. He was like, stop talking about it. And then as we're moving up, he's like, okay, let's talk about it a little bit. Just a little bit. As a treat.
It was but like to your point of turning points, it was kind of an escalating series of turning points. I think genuinely the ultimate turning point was the nomination. I really think that was the thing that cemented for us, like, officially, Shifting Ground Collective was a Dora-nominated company. And we're like, it doesn't actually matter at this point what happens from here. They can never take that away from us. This is a sort of stamp of legitimacy on us as a company that affirms that, like, yeah, we're here to play. We're here to do shows in Toronto. And, you know, it's I've said this a million times as well. Stephen Sondheim had this quote about, he had an essay in his book, Finishing the Hat, or maybe I think it was Look, I Made a Hat, called Awards and Their Uselessness. And he talked about the fact that, like, at 70 and 80 years old, he was starting to receive all of these Lifetime Achievement Awards. And he would go to the dinners, and he would shake the hands, and he would get up for a speech, and pretty unilaterally, he would say, I really appreciate this award, thank you, but I don't really need this right now. I've had a career of validation, I've had my shows on Broadway, I've kind of got the validation I needed. Awards are for young people. Awards are for people who need a validation in their industry, need proof that they should keep doing the thing they're doing, and to offer them something that will help them move on into this next stage of their life. And it couldn't be more true. Like the amount of validation that the nomination gave us as a company really, really transformed our place in Toronto. It transformed the sort of confidence we had to, like, really assert to people, like, yeah, we're here to play. And it just transformed the way people looked at us. You know, people started responding to our emails more. It's but it's been really, really gratifying. We've known since we put this company together that, you know, that we were in this for longevity, and we were here to create a sustainable company, and we wanted to make a indelible impact on Toronto's musical theater scene, and you know, hopefully Canada's musical theater scene, and integrating artists that are going to take Canada by storm and go to every province and take over their stages. And it feels like now more than ever we have a chance to really assert that and to help the theater that we love so much. It's really great.
I mean, that kind of perfectly leads into, like, my next question, which might be a little heavy-handed, but, like, we had a conversation with the team from Bad Hats and about making theater in this country. And they basically said that, like, it's always going to be an uphill battle, but if you love it enough and love what you do, then that's really all that matters. So where do you take Shifting Ground from here? Like, what is the next step?
I mean, the next step for us is that we build the kind of audience and fundraising capacity to be able to do it full time and pay all of our artists full time, full union wages to do what we do. And that's a huge growth thing. Like, I think we have to, like, quadruple our operating budget at the moment before that's possible. But from the beginning, we've always been like, we want to get big enough to be able to afford to pay people what they're worth. And so I think the immediate goal is, like, everyone is doing this full time. This is nobody's side hustle anymore. And then after that, I think the dream is that nobody ever graduates a musical theater program in this country wondering where their next gig is going to come from, because they know that they're going to do a show at Shifting Ground. It's going to launch their careers, and we're going to have this, like, large pool of incredibly wonderful, brilliant, talented people who have been able to achieve the success we always knew that they could because they got their start with Shifting Ground.
Yeah, and kind of in parallel to that, we really feel quite strongly that, you know, we're platforming all these amazing performers and creative team members and designers and technicians and all these folks, and there's also really incredible writers in Canada that don't have a huge support system right now for creative growth. So it's something that we're really trying to dive into now that we have a bit more of an audience trust is trying to create new Canadian work. And we similar to our open creative team calls, we did an open submission a couple of years ago. We're like, you got an idea, you got a show, we want to know about it, we want to help you make it. And so now we're trying to really dive into our developmental pipeline, and the dream is that when we're doing a season, we're doing one canon work and then one premiere of a new show every year. And that's something that we're also trying to really grow. And we're a bit a ways from that being the landing point, but it's something that we're very passionate about working towards, because we really feel that like there needs to be a landing spot for all people in Canadian musical theater. The idea of like that you have to go somewhere else to have a career is something that we want to squash, because there's so much incredible talent here. There's an audience base here. There's money here. Like, we want that to be the truth wholeheartedly. So that's what we're really trying to push towards.
I love that. We always want to see original musicals written by, Canadians specifically, but like just people who have similar experiences to us, or who can, I don't know, bring a different perspective to the show, to our audiences. Kind of jumping a little bit away, for our audience of theater fans who are listening, who maybe love musicals but haven't branched out beyond seeing, whatever national tours are running through their city, because we have Toronto listeners, but we have listeners in many places. Like, how would you recommend they branch out into the theater community in their own cities, whether it be Toronto or wherever they are?
Yeah,
a hard question, I think. But
yes and no. I think that there's so much great art happening, and people are being loud about it. Like, if you're sitting there going, I want to see what amazing art is happening in my community, like, look up the hashtag on Instagram, like theater and then the name of your city. And I promise you're going to find a whole bunch of really cool people doing really cool things. And then go follow all of them on Instagram so you can see their season announcements. A lot of the marketing for theater at this scale happens online, because we don't have the budget for a billboard. But there's all sorts of community listings. Like, go check out the bulletin board at your local library. There's so many places you can find really cool, exciting things. And I would just say, like, take a chance on something. Like, even if it's bad, sometimes that's also very entertaining. You will probably surprise yourself at how much really incredible work is happening, and how many incredibly talented people are around, and how much you're missing out on by not investing in your local community and your community theater. And like, if I may get on my fundraiser soapbox for 2 seconds, it's like the financial model for making theater is broken. It doesn't work. Everyone is consistently fighting to have enough resources to keep things open. If you do not support the local arts, and like, I'm talking more broadly even than just theater, if you don't support the local arts in your community, it will cease to exist. So if it is important to you to have that kind of local art as part of your community, to have that rich tapestry of options, then you need to invest in that. And that can be through a donation, that can be through buying a ticket, that can be through volunteering your time or spreading the word about something. But I think we all often take for granted the fact that we have access to all of this incredible art in our local communities as something that's just always going to exist. And I'm sure everyone who has ever worked in an arts administration position, or like tried to run their own like little company, will tell you that it's not a given. And we, like, the community has to show up for it to exist. So go support your local theater so that your local theater continues to exist and can continue to make great art for decades and decades to come.
Yeah. And like, even sometimes if like, when what Colette was saying of like, sometimes it'll be bad and you have to take a chance. The thing that I find more often is that if a show is not great, not every part of it isn't great. Like there's normally something that is interesting or exciting or new. Like, you know, maybe the script isn't great, but the performers were awesome, or vice versa, or, you know, the set design was stunning, or there was a lighting cue that made you want to cry. Maybe that's just me, but I love it.
I feel you.
But like there's always, you know, there's going to be a hidden gem in there somewhere. And I think the best example of this is in fringe festivals. Like sometimes, because fringe is the lottery, right? Like, and most large cities have a fringe festival in some capacity. Toronto is very lucky to have a really great one that's going to have like 120 shows this year. And, you know, because it's a lottery system, some of them might not be great. Some of them might be the next Kim's Convenience. Some of them might be the next Drowsy Chaperone. You don't know. Only one way to find out. You got to take that chance. And like, you know, I've seen hundreds of fringe shows at this point. And like, even the ones that weren't my favorites, I can still point out something that was interesting or exciting about it. And, you know, there are people that I'll watch. I'm like, that show wasn't great, but that performer, who are they? I'm very excited about them. Who are you? And then you know, you find new people that you're excited to work with, and you never know who's watching as well. Like, you know, speaking from like more of a performance lens or a creative lens, you never know who's going to show up in the audience. Sometimes you just got to make art and see what happens, and something else spirals out of it. I think Colette said this a couple years ago, but like all the best deals that happen in indie theater happen on the fringe patio. And like, so if you're looking to break into this community, aside from just, you know, supporting the arts, like going to see shows in and of itself is such a wonderful community experience. And I don't think that's ever more true than in a fringe capacity, because it's like, especially in Toronto, it's just 2 weeks of a bunch of theater nerds being theater nerds, and it being the most acceptable it's ever been in the city. And it's wonderful.
Love it.
Okay, before we kind of like wrap things up here, did everybody prepare an obsession? I didn't even ask this at the beginning of the episode.
Yes.
Okay,
Oh my
thank
God. You guys did the assignment.
We're an obsessive folk.
Before we move on to that, we have a bit of a rapid fire. I'm trying to think, what's the best way to do this? I guess we're gonna have to go like in order here, one at a time, right? So
Yeah.
otherwise everyone's gonna be saying
We'll do
everything
it
at
that
once.
way.
So let's do
Rapid.
Colette, Josh, Shannon.
I have to
okay?
be first. Oh my god, the pressure.
Okay, so this is our rapid fire. It's called Personality Test Drive. Okay, so the first question is, on a road trip, what's the cast recording that you're listening to?
The bad ones.
Great.
Okay.
Gypsy.
Okay.
Maybe Happy Ending. For sure.
Great. Okay. What's a movie you would turn into a musical?
Oh, Princess Bride. I mean, they're doing it, but Princess Bride.
Someone just posted the like workshop cast.
It was Alex Timbers, wasn't it?
Yeah, right. It was someone.
At some other time, let me soapbox about the Adam Gettle Princess Bride we'll never get.
Wow.
We just talked about it in rehearsal.
We just
today.
talked
It
about
was-
this today.
Yeah. I just watched Waiting for Guffman the other night. I'm kind of surprised it hasn't already.
Wow.
Fun.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the Princess Diaries.
Good
Great.
answer.
Good.
Love
Good.
that.
Okay.
Your favorite composer?
I'm ready.
There's so many. Well, yes. There's
Go ahead, Josh.
I'll get Colette.
God. I have too many. Like it's
2, 1.
Oh, good.
it's either Sondheim, JRB, Adam Gettle, or Alan Menken. How's that?
Okay, so that's so many answers.
Cheating, but okay.
That's okay. It's okay.
Right, Stephen Sondheim.
Gosh.
Next question.
Yes.
One time, yeah.
Allow it. 2 for 2.
Great. Okay. Where is your favorite spot to sit in a theater?
I like orchestra center, but like closer to the back.
Nice.
I agree.
Same.
This is what I think.
Front row of the dress circle.
Front row of the dress circle, dead center.
Nice. Very
Great.
good. Your favorite show that you've never seen?
Ooh.
So like maybe you're obsessed with the cast recording, but like you've never seen it.
Oh man.
Live or at all?
Wow.
Live?
We've
I
never
guess?
had this question.
You've never had someone perform it in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Huh.
The Light in the
Yeah, we've-
Piazza.
Nice. Good.
Mm.
Maybe I'll regret it and realize that there's a very obvious answer. I'm gonna say Passing Strange.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm. I'm gonna say In the Heights, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. Very good.
Your favorite score?
The Light in the Piazza.
Sunday in the Park with George.
Cabaret.
We have three very different types here. I love it.
That's why it would work.
I think Piazza and Sunday are in a sort of similar realm.
Yeah, kind of same.
I
Yeah.
agree. I think Adam Ghetto takes from Sondheim a lot.
Sondheim.
Oh, sure, yeah.
What I'm loving about this rapid fire is that a lot of times people come on and they're not as theater people, even though they're performers and stuff. But I know we could rely
We know that
on
we're
you
in good
guys.
hands here. Yes.
Unabashed.
My answers.
If I could do a random off the cuff shout out, just because we're talking a lot about Adam Ghetto,
Please.
y'all gotta give a listen to Days of Wine and Roses. I'm
Oh,
a
it's
huge,
great.
Wow.
huge fan
Really
of this
good.
show.
First
Dude,
time,
it
That
ran-
got flopped on Broadway.
It ran for a whole
It
2
did.
months. I caught the second preview. It was one of the better shows I've seen on Broadway in the past couple years.
really.
Oh, it's great.
Wow.
Oh,
Okay.
interesting.
First
You.
one.
I mean,
Yeah,
what a
the
cast.
marketing was very just not appealing to me in any way.
It sold the show very confusingly. It's this really
Yeah.
fascinating rumination on addiction and the highs and lows of alcoholism, and the way that it's about this couple, Brian Darcy James and Kelly O'Hara, and the way that they sort of help each other recover and then also pull each other back down into the pit, and one will recover and the other will slip and drag the other down with them, and then the other will slip and drag the other down with them. And it's just fascinatingly composed. It's really funny. It's really interesting. It's the score gets so stuck in my head.
Oh.
Wow. So
Okay, we're gonna
is
have to-
Shifting Ground maybe doing Days of Wine and Roses.
It's not a
No.
super shifting ground show, but my God, will I be the first in line to see someone do it in Toronto?
Who in Toronto should produce Days
Yeah.
of Wine and Roses?
What
What theater
company?
company in
Crows.
Toronto?
Crows.
I was gonna say
Okay.
Crows.
Crows.
It's probably
Yeah.
Crows.
Crows may be a co-pro with Can Stage.
Okay.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Okay.
Uh,
your guilty pleasure musical.
Oh, I'm not guilty about it at all, but there is there you know what I'm gonna say. There is something in the score of Newsies that does something to my brain chemistry.
Mhm.
I made all of my friends do the entirety of Newsies with me on my rooftop for my 25th birthday.
Wow.
Amazing. Is
I-
there videos of this?
Yes, there are some videos in existence of
Now
this.
that's new information. I
I
was
did
shaking
not
my
know
head.
that.
I was like, no,
I
it
don't
wasn't
have
filmed.
the whole thing. I just have clips. Anyways,
Oh, okay.
I love Newsies, and I am not even a little bit guilty about it.
It's great. Yeah.
No guilt.
I had an answer. It's completely. I don't know. I'll toss a recent one that's gotten into my head recently. I'm getting into the score for Chess. I'm falling down that.
Okay.
I'm on the train of the show will never work. It's fundamentally flawed in its construction. But man, have I been singing Nobody's Side a lot.
What a banger.
You've
This
come to the right
podcast
place.
loves that song. I did just see the revival. It was
What'd you think of it?
fine. It was
Yeah,
fine.
I agree. It was just okay.
It was fine.
It was. I think
Nicholas
the Bryce...
Christopher was great, but
Oh,
it
I
was
love.
fine.
I mean, Endgame really had the
Oh.
hair standing up in the back of my head. It's just I think all of the Arbiter material should have been put in a
Josh,
pile and
it's very
burned.
politically
Did
charged.
you coin the phrase "the Deadpoolification of chess"? Was that
Yeah,
you?
that was that. It was because they just made the Arbiter very welcome to our musical about the Cold War. Yes, it says chess. We know it flopped in 1984. Don't worry about it. I'm like, Jesus Christ, I would love a fourth wall, please.
Be less self-aware, please.
What
Less
is it?
self-aware.
I think Arbiter at one point was like, "This is my song, and I'm gonna crush it." Gag
Yes.
me with a spoon, dude. Like,
Yes, he did do that.
Oh,
But you know what? Bryce Pinkham did what he had to do with the material he was given.
He had. I do not blame him. I do not blame him.
No.
It wasn't his fault.
Oh, man.
Shannon, your guilty pleasure musical.
It's island songs. It's not good, and I know that.
Haven't heard that
but
one in a
I
minute.
don't even know what that is.
I don't even know if we know that.
It's a song cycle that is, and I can't stress this enough, not good. But I do love it so deeply. I don't know why, but I listen to it like I found it like 3 years ago, and I do find myself listening to it often. Like Jeremy Jordan's on this album, Jackie Burns. Like it's like a wildly good cast for such an okay song cycle.
Wow.
Also, sorry,
I love these answers.
I can't believe I said Passing Strange, by the way, for Guilty Pleasure. Not Guilty Pleasure, Passing Strange for show I haven't seen. It's Floyd Collins. It's 100% Floyd Collins. We've been talking so much about Adam Dill. How did I not say that?
We saw
we just saw
the one last year, yeah.
I'm so sad I missed it.
I'm surprised you have not found a way to get Flying Over Sunset into this conversation yet, Josh.
I was about to say
Flying
that
Over
as well.
Sunset.
My rotating 3 favorite musicals: Sunday in the Park with George, Gypsy, Flying Over Sunset. I saw Flying Over Sunset 4 times in its
Not 4
closing
times.
week and a half. I think it's a brilliant piece of writing. You think it's just going to be the silly LSD musical with Cary Grant by James Lapine, and instead it's this brilliant rumination on grief and the way that we shut off parts of our brain and refuse to cope with things. Yes, it's ridiculous, but my God, it's really good.
Wow.
Again, the marketing for that one really
Not great.
was weird, I think.
I think that ran 30,
Not
40
long.
performances on Broadway or something like
Yeah.
that.
And you saw it
And
4
you saw-
times out of 40.
I caught,
40.
I caught a decent percentage of that show's run.
You maybe helped with their funding a little bit on that.
You're like,
They weren't. You look at
single-handedly.
those grosses; they weren't getting much.
If you didn't believe we were nerds already, this conversation.
Is there any other show that you feel needs airtime right now?
I've done enough. I'll let you guys have a story.
to Shannon's point of like a cast album with an incredible.
I know what you're gonna say.
Yeah.
Can I
See,
guess? Can I guess?
Yes.
Can I guess? Are you gonna say the Violet Hour?
Of course, the Violet
It's
Hour.
so good.
Oh my God,
It's really good.
It's so good. It's so
It's
good.
really good.
I really hope somebody stages it someday. We spend so much time together, the 3 of us. We are like best friends to the degree of like nearly being siblings. And therefore we've all heard all of this 6 bajillion times. The other
Also,
one I was
like-
gonna say, which the other 2 are also going to laugh at me for. Do you wanna guess where I'm going with this?
I'm nervous.
I'm nervous. Just say it. Are you gonna say We Are the Tigers? Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Golly.
This
That
is
was
like
my
a
guess.
soccer team.
It's a
cheerleader.
cheerleader slasher musical.
Okay.
It like played off Broadway in 2019 and then like kind of disappeared. But it's like,
Who's in this?
oh gosh, Lauren Zachrin was in it. Mimi Scardula was
Okay,
in
I've heard it. Yeah.
It's so fun. It's one of those like things that you like. It's like angsty teen stuff in the same vibe as like Heather's is, where like the writing is fantastic in places and angsty teenage in other places. But it's so fun, and I love a musical that has 9 sopranos and 1 tenor.
Great.
Wow. It's very high.
And
Very
fair,
high.
and fair. And Tara, Stefania,
Very
you guys
high.
haven't answered any of these questions. I want to know your answers to all these questions.
Yeah,
too.
no.
Oh my
Yeah.
God. You
What
know,
are your guilty pleasure
Oh my
musicals, each
God,
of you?
we could be here all day. Guilty pleasure musical. We are. Well, I'm a huge Legally Blonde fan, but I'm not like
Sure.
guilty
Yes.
about that. But I
Yeah.
love
Sure.
Legally Blonde.
lovely one. I would say I'll say Bring It On. I love
Sure.
Yeah, you
that
love
cast
Bring It
album
On.
so hard.
Taste.
Yeah, you do.
Yeah. I really like
Um.
always Bring It On.
Oh.
Anything Lin-Manuel Miranda is
For
is
sure.
in, I'm there.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Fair.
fair enough.
Looking forward to
Um,
Warriors.
Bring It On was the first musical
I
saw
love
on
the Warriors
Broadway.
cast album.
Warriors
Is that
is
Bring It On?
great.
It was
I
the
love the
first
Warriors
musical I
cast
saw on Broadway. I was sitting in the mezzanine and I was watching them be flown like almost into the lighting grid and being nervous every single time. And it was awesome.
I know. I saw it in Toronto. I was like, wow, we're really throwing people into the ceiling. It's wild.
I directed a production of Bring It On and maybe the smallest black box theater you've ever seen in your
50
life. And I
seats, 10
and
feet
I did keep all of the cheer stunts. And it was something.
What is Bring It On if you're not throwing someone in the air?
I have no regrets. It was amazing. I'm like I directed it at York University and watching these students learn how to be cheerleaders in 4 months rocked. It was awesome.
Wow.
That's so fun.
Amazing. I mean, while we're like on the track of this, I guess this leads perfectly into, a section that we have on except not every episode recently of our podcast, but it's now time for our obsession of the week. I feel like we don't even have to start off because you guys are primed for this already. But we'll keep it how we normally do it. So Steph, what's your obsession this week?
Okay, so I was trying to think of what to talk about. This might be a future guilty pleasure. But Tara and you and I have been talking about going to London for a theater trip and kind of assembling a list. And so I decided to start listening to the cast album for the Devil Wears Prada musical.
Wow,
Again, I really think this is a future guilty pleasure or not. Is it good? Not particularly, I have to say. Sorry to Elton John.
Oh, Elton.
Tina Taub. Sorry to Vanessa Williams. Sorry to everyone. But there's some stuff. It's kind of like Kinky Boots light, if I had to describe it.
I
a little
forgot
bit.
that Shayna Taub was on it. Man.
Yeah, I think she's just doing the lyrics.
The lyrics. Right. Yeah, wow.
So if you want to like listen to like one song, maybe go like Dress Your Way Up. It's like a makeover montage. If you can picture that.
That sounds like
Great.
a song from Elton John's The Devil Wears Prada for sure.
exactly. It sounds literally exactly how you expect it to sound.
Yeah.
Like there's no surprises here. But always trying to find something new. I think you guys have given me maybe some like future obsession fodder today that we're gonna.
I'll write a list if you need.
Please.
Yeah, please.
Yeah.
We will.
Okay, let's go in reverse. Okay, I'll go. No, I was gonna say let's do them, but I'll go and then you guys can close it out. This is very on theme, I think, with you guys. But I recently I was in New York in November, and I saw the off-Broadway Spelling Bee, which, if you listen to our year in review, we actually said that your production was better. But I love spelling. Like honestly, Spelling Bee, seeing Shift and Ground Spelling Bee made us fall in love with Spelling Bee. It was a show that we kind of had a blind spot to. And then I was like so excited to see it when I was in New York. Anyway, all this to say, very recently, Broadway.com puts out, it's normally in their studio, but like the stripped down versions of songs from the shows. But this time they were actually at the Spelling Bee stage. So it's Jasmine Amy Rogers, it's Lily Cooper, and it's Matt Manuel singing a little snippet of the I Love You song. And it is so good. The three of them sound so amazing together. The harmony on that, the blend, it's just like beautiful. I've listened to it like a million times since it came out. And it's just like a 50-second little clip. And I love it so much. So that's my obsession this week.
I really had doubts about Jasmine Amy Rogers' Olive, to be honest.
She's great.
To come straight from Boop to
We love Boop. Maybe that's a guilty pleasure, actually. We love Boop. We love Boop.
We can see Boop. But like, I sort of figured, my assumption was like, okay, I feel like she's going to go, she just literally finished playing a cartoon character. I feel like she's going to go for like a cartoony Olive Ostrovsky, which like our production was very antithetical to. And I was sort of hesitant about that. And everyone who I've heard, who attended, said that she's giving like the most realistic, dropped-in, grounded performance of this little girl.
She is.
And to me, I'm so interested in that. I'm like, wow, I think this is going to be a name that we're going to be seeing a lot of. Like someone who demonstrates that kind of versatility right out the gate. I have a feeling that Jasmine's going to be someone to stick around.
She brought a groundedness to Boop, I think, like to this cartoon character. So, I love Boop. But yeah, I think she's great. I love her.
Yeah, it is like when we first saw, I think, what was it, Steph? The out of town triad of Boop that they like posted this very, very like quick like snippet. And we were like, oh, this girl is the star. And then when we saw it on Broadway, we were like, wow.
She's Thursday matinee.
Did you guys see Mean Girls when it was at the Princess of Wales?
I saw it this like last time around it was here, which was like the non-equity tour.
Yeah. The equity tour had Jasmine was playing Gretchen Wieners.
Yes, yes.
And
I don't think we saw that one.
She was far and away, like so aggressively the greatest person on this. Like, she was jaw dropping. I fell in love with her. I'm gonna stop talking.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
No, it's great. Honestly, she to me is like, this is how I felt about Joy Woods 2 years ago.
Yeah.
So I feel like every year there's like a new person that everyone's talking about. So it's very exciting. Okay, Shannon, what's your obsession this week?
Okay, so I have my normie answer is I've been really obsessed with rom-coms this week.
Great.
And that was gonna be my answer. And then I was talking with Josh I was driving him home after rehearsal. And my actual answer is that I have gone down quite the rabbit hole of watching people's interpretations of the ending of Cabaret. I have, over the last week, I have watched probably 40 different versions of how people have ended Cabaret.
Wow.
That has been my obsession this week. And they all make my stomach sink so far down. But it's so interesting and it's so fascinating to me. I just love Cabaret so bad, and I've been on this pedestal for a minute. But I've been quite obsessed with watching people's interpretations of the ending of Cabaret.
That's so funny because there are many ways you can kind of interpret or kind of lead your directions. You can lead your audience.
Yeah, and it's so interesting. I've been really into like the watching things going. And what is the implication of that? I think like how did people leave this production? And also, what did they do before this? And like. Yeah, I've been.
You're just jumping into like the last 10 minutes, basically. Like,
yeah,
no context.
I've been watching basically from Cliff saying and Sally and I were fast asleep.
Yeah.
We were dancing and we were fast asleep from then until the curtain call.
Is this a compilation video or you're actively searching for new people?
No, I'm really searching.
Love that. I was gonna say we love a compilation video.
It's crazy what people will post on TikTok these days. Like and now because I spent like a day like or like an evening like searching things, and now my algorithm is simply only Cabaret content. Couldn't be happier about it, to be honest. Personally, perfect For You page for me. But yeah, that's my obsession right now. Cabaret, specifically the last 10 minutes of every production I can get my hands on.
That's a good one, I think.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, Josh.
Right, so I tried very specifically to not come up with a musical theater answer for this one.
Wow.
I just
wine and roses and flying over sun.
You've really given other obsessions.
I think I've already sort of gotten those out into the air. To be fair, I'm having a big moment right now with Nirvana the band.
Okay. Did you watch the doc?
You mean Nirvana the band, the show, the movie?
Is that the one that's coming out or just came out?
It's the one that's coming out in a couple days. Yeah, I caught it at TIFF.
We did. Fun.
Yeah, for those who don't know, Nirvana the band, the show, is a web series and television series that came afterward by these two guys, Matt and Jay. They have a group. All you need to know about it is that they have a group called Nirvana the band. No, they have not heard of any other band that might have a similar name to at all. They have a group called Nirvana the band, and their dream is to get a show at the Rivoli. They do not have songs. They are not really a proper band, and at no point in any of the episodes of their series do they ever ask the Rivoli to play. They instead come up with different schemes every single episode to like get themselves in. It varies from breaking into the booking agent's house to try and sign themselves up in their logbook beforehand. They smash an exhibit at the ROM and steal a map, so they can travel underneath the Rivoli and get inside to sign themselves up. They come up with insane harebrained schemes. The movie's coming out next week, and I've just been in a big rabbit hole of these guys. It's a mix between Waiting for Godot and Borat, and I just could not enjoy it more.
It won. I think it won like the Midnight Madness People's Choice Award at TIFF.
That's how I got to see the People's Choice screening. And their whole thing as
well
is that they shoot this show. It's a Toronto-based show. They shoot it pretty much mainly around Queen and Spadina.
Amazing.
Great.
And
my office.
Yeah. Well, hey, many of ours. And so like they will shoot scenes in Toronto. And sort of just use the people around them, and if someone comes in and talks to them during a scene, they will use it.
Great.
And they like it. It's so like it's like a thin line between like this scripted comedy show and like a real life prank series. And they just keep doing. There's an episode where they run into the subway tunnels at Bay Station. Like they just they just do stuff.
So it's causing my delays. That's
Sorry.
my-
Yeah, big in Nirvana
Yeah,
the band.
exactly.
That's mine.
love
Fun.
it.
Well, by
That's
the time
great.
this episode comes out, it will be out. So
True,
that's
yeah.
great. People can watch
Go
it.
see
Yeah.
Nirvana the band, the show, the movie in theaters now.
Great. And Colette, what's your obsession this week?
I have also done a lot of musical theater nerding out, so I'm gonna
Please.
nerd out in a different direction. I have
Love.
two that are very like related.
Mhm.
I have just started watching season 3 of Dimension 20 Fantasy High, which is Dropout's one of the many seasons of Dropout's actual play Dungeons and Dragons show. If you are not subscribed to dropout.tv, what are you doing?
It's so affordable. Do it.
It's so affordable. If I had to pick one streaming service, truly it would be Dropout. So I've been watching a lot of actual play D&D. And then the other thing I've been watching a lot of recently is people playing Blood on the Clock Tower. Which, if you don't know what Blood on the Clock Tower is, it's like a social deduction game that's in the same sort of family as like Werewolf. I'm very big into board games. My younger brother actually introduced this to me. But there's it's No Rules Barred is the main one, but the Dropout folks also sort of have their own versions of this, where they get essentially like comedians and internet personalities to play this social deduction game, and it's such a fantastic game. Like, go rent it from the board game shop and play it. But also watching people play is so fascinating because you get to hear all of their strategies and see all of the ways in which the characters interact. It's too much to explain in one sitting. Watching a lot of people playing Dungeons and Dragons and Blood on the Clock Tower of late.
Nice.
I love it.
Fun.
Great.
And before we actually go, where can people follow you and where can they learn more about Shifting Ground Collective?
Yeah. You can follow us at Shifting Ground Collective on Instagram, on Facebook, on TikTok, on all the things. Or you can head to our website, www.shiftinggroundcollective.com.
Amazing. And The Drowsy Chaperone is playing at Theater Pass Marais until March 21st. Thank you all for joining us. This was far longer than 45 minutes, but we appreciate you so much.
I apologize
That's
for your
our
poor
fault.
editing time.
No.
That's
We
all.
love it.
No, I'm going to keep this in, all of it.
Oh, good.
Amazing.
I love when a theater fan comes and we can just kind of nerd out and, you know, we can speak the same language, if you will.
Yeah.
No, thank you guys
No,
so
but
much for having
seriously.
us.
Yes, thank you.
It's so
Really a
fun.
pleasure to be
Thank you.
invited. Let's do this again sometime.